Hey, I'm back. I actually didn't expect to record today. So, I was just randomly I was thinking about this series, right? Well, it's not really a series, it's more of a one shot. And I was just thinking, maybe I do, want to read it. Maybe I do want to talk about it. I wasn't actually planning on making a review, not a video, nothing. But, we're here today, aren't we? So, let's talk about Ride Your Wave by Machi Kitachi. Great name, by the way. I think I have just really one problem with this story, and it's just the length. Because, okay, a one shot's a one shot, right? Sometimes stories are just very small, and sometimes they're one shots, right? But you don't understand that, it just looks like one manga volume. Hold on. This is where it ends. This is the entire story right here. All of this, the rest of this part right here are a bunch of side stories. This is the entire story right here. That is the entire story that the author wants to tell, or the mangaka wants to tell. And it kind of just sucks that we have this really, really good story that the author wants to tell, but the execution behind it is just really shit. So I'm gonna spoil it real quickly, just the story in general. Even if I spoil it, it's still a good story. But at the start of it, we get this really good love story between these two characters, and it's really believable. And then the other guy, the main guy character, dies, just dies, right? But I feel like if this expanded, it probably would have been boring if it did, but if this expanded to a second volume and they just stretched the story out, I know most authors, or most, that's kind of the opposite of what you want to do, but it really, if you stretched it out just a bit more, it actually would have made you care about the characters. I could have definitely cried when that character died, or when she, was crying about how she was never going to see him. I would have definitely cried if I cared enough. But the story doesn't make you care that much. So basically what happens in the story, this girl falls in love with this one guy and he dies. And basically, for some reason, she can see him in water. She can call his name and see him in the water even though he's dead. So he talks to him a lot. She just talks to him a lot and basically relies on him a lot. And then gets to a point where sometimes when she calls him, he doesn't arrive right away. And she's starting to realize that the more she calls him, eventually she's just never going to be able to see him again. It'll stop working. She won't be able to call him anymore. So she stops doing it for a while, and then she calls him one more time because her apartment building, I think, caught on fire. So, and he, is made out of water. So she calls him, and the firehouse is gone, and then she can't. But then when she tries to call him again, it doesn't work. Right? It sounds like a good story, I guess. I mean, the way I'm describing it sounds shitty, but the story is very, very good. The only problem I have with the only problem I have with it is this story happens in almost 100 pages, right? And regular book, that sounds like, good story, but these are comics, all right? Barely any words, and the art isn't great, barely any character development. One character has one character arc, and that's it. I guess I'm just used to more longer stories, where, the main character goes through a training arc, and he goes through this emotional development. But it's just with this story, it's, okay, character introduced, okay, character dies, okay, character arc. That's it. There's no, the story does not take its time very much. And the execution is just really poorly done. At the end, it felt like I was supposed to cry. It felt like I was supposed to cry and I was supposed to feel for these characters. But I just didn't. I just didn't care for them. I didn't have much time with them. The story felt a lot more of I'm telling you, not showing you. And you know, sometimes that is good, but most of the times you'll hear show, don't tell. Right? Would you rather in a book just you know what I'm talking about, okay? In this story, it feels a lot more of showing, not telling. Or it feels a lot more of telling, not showing. And to be honest, I recommend you read the bonus stories first. Before you actually read the entire story, you read the bonus stories. Because the bonus stories actually make you fall in love with these characters even more, right? Because it gives you some character details, different personality traits, you know, the way they act in different situations. And I'm pretty sure the bonus stories are actually more pages than the actual story. Like, when I got to the end, or at least when I got to the middle of it, and I was like, okay, how is this story going to continue? And it said, ride your wave, the end, you know. At the bottom, when it says, you know, ride your wave, the end, at the bottom, I'm like, okay, how is this story going to continue? And then it just says, bonus side story, part 1. How am I supposed to feel about that? I feel like you could have just not taken the side stories and just put them in the middle of this as like some extra, some extra content. And I get it, it might seem boring and it might seem as filler, but because of these side stories, the emotional punches actually hit more, right? Like, obviously, you know, it would get boring. It would get boring. But it just makes the final moments even better. Like, every single one. And that's my opinion on the story. How many? 6 minutes? Yeah, this isn't supposed to be a long review. It's one volume, it's a one shot. You know, when I actually bought this, I thought it was going to be like an entire series. I thought I saw volumes 2 or 3 at the store, and there was only one volume. And I looked it up, because it said there only was one volume. And I looked it up, and they said, and someone said that, you know, there's a movie of it, and then I watched the movie, and that movie is actually better because it's in the span of a movie, right? You actually get character development, or not character development, but you get to see the characters on how they act. It's really just, okay, she meets this firefighter guy, okay, that's awesome, she falls in love, and now they start talking, and he wants to ride the waves or whatever, and then he does ride the wave, and then he dies because he wanted to like make a wish that they would get engaged and like find a home or whatever, and then but like he all dies like very, very suddenly, right? And then fast forward like, I don't know, like maybe a couple of weeks, I think, or maybe like a week, she starts crying and she's very sad, meets him in the toilet, literally. I think it was in the toilet. No, it was in the ocean. Meets him in the toilet, they talk, and then commence what's called a montage of them talking. They're talking, very, very sad, and then there's a fire, and then he's gone. And then he sees the message he was supposed to send that he never sent. Wow, what a story. Again, I think this story has so much potential. It has so much potential. Maybe if they just put the side stories, because the side stories are kind of ruined now that you know this guy's gonna die. Like, let's be honest, it's kind of ruined. Now, you know, because the character's gonna die, so why do you care? It's like no one. Okay, let's put this in the perspective. Here's an example. You ever watch the movie Black Widow? That movie sucked. One of the main reasons, because we knew she was gonna die anyway, so why the fuck do we care? If you wanted to make a Black Widow movie, you should have just added Black Widow's sister and made her the main character. There's no reason that Scarlett Johansson should be in the movie at all. Just make it a story about her so you introduce a new character. It's so much better than just giving us more details about a character that we're just never gonna see again. And it's absolutely shit-faced. Can you tell how, this story is just really, really good. Read it, but the way to read up till they meet and start, read up until they meet, before he dies, you know. I mean, you probably should have read the story first. To be honest, it's not really a spoiler if he dies or not. It's in like the first third of the story. Read up until they meet, until they meet. Then read all the side stories, and then continue reading. I know that's a weird way to read it, but it's so much better than the way the author put out the entire story itself. Alright, that's all I gotta say. Story, good. I forgot what I rated it. Hold on, give me 1 second actually. I'm gonna grab my tablet and see what I rated it out of 10. Give me I'm gonna go really, really fast. Give me 1 second. Really fast, alright. Hold on, I'm gonna go really fast. See, really fast. Boom. Really fast. And if you can tell, I'm still a bit sick. Hold on. Alright, let me close this door real quick. Thank you. Whew. Alright. Ride Your Wave. I ranked it a 6.27 out of 10. Because my list, the way I rank it, every series is ranked indefinitely, so if I ever do a top 10, top 20, whatever, then, you know, I actually have the entire list and I'll have to create it myself. 6.27 out of 10, which means it's a good series. Because if it's a 6.9 out of 6, that means it's a good series. Ooh, just ran all the way to my tablet. Right? Let me just run through the keys real quick. 10.9 through 10, that means it's a masterpiece. That means there's no issues with it. Obviously, nitpicks, nothing's perfect, but there's barely anything to talk about it. 9.9 out of 8. Wait, what? Sorry, this is supposed to be 9.9 out of 9. There we go. Is almost perfect. So it's basically a masterpiece, but there's some problems to it. 8.9 out of 8, that's amazing. 7.9 out of 7, that's great. I'm just gonna say 6, 5. 6, that means it's good. 5 means it's fine. 4 means it's inconsistent. 3 is boring. 2 is bad. 1 is awful. And 0 is insulting. The worst series I've ever ranked on here is Shaman King, which I put as a 5, and I only read half of volume 1. So that should tell you where I'm at with the series. I put it as a 6.27 out of 10. To be honest, I agree with that now. It's a good story, but it's just super rushed. You can't really connect with the characters very much, but the message is overall pretty great. It just kind of gets held back by that. Alright. Oh, God, my chair. I don't know if you could see that. It got pushed all the way. I was about to fall down. Whatever. Alright, that's all I gotta say. See ya. Bye. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and all this shit. Next video, I'll probably do some kind of review or top 10. Maybe. Alright. Bye. Thank you.